The little ghost had almost forgotten what a good haunting felt like when the lizard arrived at the castle with a line of bags and boxes bobbing along with behind him. The little ghost was overjoyed. "Alas," she cried, "someone new to haunt." "Who's new?" asked the owl. "Who was sitting on a great bell in the tower?" "The new owner of a castle, of course," said the ghost. "And that thing on his shoulder. I'm going to haunt them." "You," asked the owl. "Of course me," said the little ghost. "There isn't anyone else, is there?" "True," answered the owl. Then she swirled her head round and closed her big yellow eyes. She never said much. "I know I'm going to terrify them," said the little ghost. "You do you," hooted the owl. She opened both eyes, very wide, and stared at the little ghost. Then she spread her wings and took off. The great bell hummed faintly. Some weeks later, that the little ghost was not sure of herself. She had practiced wailing and shrieking. She had opened and closed creaking doors. She had hidden in cupboards and jumped out. She had glided along the battlements while the wizard Zebulun was stargazing. She had done all the right things, but the wizard just did not seem to notice her. "He's too busy arguing with that bird of his," she told the owl. "And when he does see me, it looks straight for me." The owl blinked and said nothing. "What am I going to do?" wailed the ghost. "Do to who?" hooted the owl. "Sometimes she could be very annoying." The little ghost lost her temper. "The wizard, of course, that stupid deaf, absent-minded, short-sighted, unobservant old man in a bad hat." At the moment Jason flew up. "You must be talking about my master," he said. He landed on the bell with a thump. The owl ruffled her feathers. Disappointed, she looked at Jason through half-closed eyes. "Who are you?" she asked. Jason drew himself up. "I'm Raisin Jason," he said solemnly. "Familiar, and aide to the wizard Zebulun." "Raven indeed," said the little ghost, who had been watching two birds with interest. "You're nothing but a common crow." Jason's spiky feathers stood on end. His eyes started out of his head, and he stared about him. Then he hopped in a circle, looking around. The owl closed her eyes. Crows were not interest to her. "If you want to know, I was talking about your master," said the little ghost. Jason jumped at the sound of her voice. He purred at the owl, who seemed fast asleep. He closed his own eyes. "Who was talking?" he asked in a very small voice. "The ghost of Crumbling Castle," replied the ghost. Then she did a little wail. "Caw, caw," came Jansen's raccoon's laugh. "If you're a ghost, where are you?" The little ghost glided over a bell and hovered next to Jason. "I'm here," she cooed. Jason put out a wing. He felt something cold and damp. "I can feel you," he said, "but I can't see you. You must be one of the invisible ghosts." "Not at all," said the ghost, indignantly. "I'm the texture of clouds, of rails with trails of mist." The little ghost didn't know if, but over the years, she had begun to fade. Jason peered hard. "Can't see a thing," he said. Then a cloud passed over the sun, and Jason caught the faint shadow of a small but definitely ghostly shape. Things like cobwebs trailed off the end of her skirts, and two grey smudges peered at him from the top. "You're a ghost," he said, but the sound came out of the clouds, and that was left was a vague outline which disappeared almost immediately. "You gone again," he pronounced. The little ghost was horrified. "No one in my family has ever become invisible before." She glided over to Owl. "Why didn't you tell me?" she wailed at Owl. The owl woke up and blinked rapidly. Jason looked sideways at the owl's yellow eyes. He did not want to stare. "Owl can't see much by day," he whispered to the ghost, "and I expect you show a bit of night." "I hope so," said the little ghost gloomily. "No wonder the wizard books looks strange through me. Jason put his head under his wig for a minute. That was his thinking position. "What makes ghosts faint?" he asked. At last, the ghost reeled off the answer. "A ghost will faint in the wrong place, at the wrong time, or in the wrong mood." Jason thought about that. The Ruler Castle was certainly the right place for a ghost. "I always wait till night," said the ghost. "We will free these shivery feelings which tell us it's the right time, so we got the right place at the right time," said Jason. "But what about the right mood? What is the right mood for a ghost?" The little ghost spoke it as it repeating a lesson in order to frighten. "A ghost must know fear. A frightened ghost is a fearsome ghost." Jason hopped up and down on the great bell, which gave a hollow ring. He thought he knew the answer. "What you are afraid of?" he asked. "Oh, lots of things," the ghost replied. "When I came to the castle years ago, I was scared of everything. The booming and clunking, and the rats and the toads of the dripping. Even my friend Owl." "And now," asked Jason sternly, "what are you afraid of now?" The ghost thought hard. Then she spoke in a thin voice. "I see what you mean. I don't think I'm afraid of anything. Not at all," asked Jason. "Not even ravens." "Ravens are just large crows," scoffed the ghost. Jason fluttered out his feathers. "Not skeletons," he asked. "What afraid of?" "Oh, Janglebones, not me," said the ghost, and she gave a little hiccuping wail that Jason thought must be a ghostly laughter. "Not vampires, bats, or bubbling pits, or creaking coffins, or giant spiders," asked Jason. "Not a bit," said the ghost firmly. "Oh dear," said Jason. "This is going to be harder than I thought." The owl woke up and added, "Too true. You're not a lot of help," snapped Jason. Then he gathered himself together for a flight. "I'm going to have a look in my master's books." He spread his wings and took off back to the beetles in the basement. He cawed. Then he stopped mid-flight. The ghost had suddenly become quite white and fluffy, and long streamers trailed out behind her. What did you say? She shrieked. Jason swooped down to the tower again. Back to Beetles. I said back to Beetles in the basement. The ghost grew very large and thick and cloudy. Her ears were black tunnels. Jason wasn't bothered by ghosts, but he felt a sudden shudder. The ghost was wailing. Not bees, she moaned. Not black beetles. So what was it? Thought Jason. Everyone was afraid of something, and the little ghost was terrified of black beetles. Now Jason knew exactly what to do. After Jason worked very hard in the wizard basement, he told them that the cracks in the floor need filling. And 2 dragons' teeth had already been lost down there. The wizard mixed a special elastic filling material which would stretch if the cracks got any wider, and Jason spent several hours pushing in the filter with his beak. He couldn't talk much. So the wizard was able to work in peace. Zeb was delighted. One more tries. He wondered that Jason was panicking, but he was too busy perfecting the fighter lining to pay much attention. Jason filled all but one of the cracks in the floor. Then he wailed as the sun went down. A black hole appeared. Black beetle appeared out of a crack. Jason rapped the floor with his beak. I want the biggest, blackest beetle you got, he said. Pass it down the line. More beetles came out of a crack and began whispering in one another. The floor was thick with beetles, murmuring and buzzing and clicking away to each other. They were all ordinary small beetles. Jason noticed with disappointment. Then the crowd of beetles began to edge away from the crack. The clicking grew intense. Jason watched eagerly as a pair of huge feelers appeared. Then a perfectly enormous beetle emerged from a crack. It was 10 times as big as others. Jason smoothed his feathers. Hearken to the raven. He began. The beetles clicked and buzzed loudly. Jason started again. Listen to a crow, I mean. He said hastily. The beetles were quiet. If you do not do I ask, I shall seal the last crack in the floor and close your home forever. The giant beetle raised a leg which Jason thought was a good sign. I shall need your help once a year. We continue, but I mean you and your people no harm. The beetle waved its leg. Jason bent right down. He could see himself reflected hundreds of times in a huge beetle's eye. He whipped his feathers into place. Then he outlined his plan. A minute before midnight, the little ghost felt her usual shivering feeling. Time to go to work, she said. The moon was shining brightly, and the ghost was no more than a faint haze. Against the darkest part of the sky, she floated down the bell tower, waiting gently, halfway down A lump of stone dissolved itself from a wall and went crashing. Down the steps. It made a famous noise in the silence, but the little ghost did not seem to hear it. She lingered in the marble hall and shrieked as horribly as she could. Anyone listening would have thought it was a wind whistling, for years the little ghost's voice had down very faint. For the marble had she went across the ballroom where a large spider sat in a pool of moonlight and into a long corridor. The wizard was nowhere about. The little ghost opened and closed a few doors away because that was what she did every night. When she reached the battlements, she paused. The wizard was in his favorite position, leaning against the walking wall, looking up at the sky. On fine nights, he often stood there for an hour or more, gazing at the stars. Tonight, however, threw out his hands, nodded happily as several small sparks came his fingertips. There were others beside the little ghost who were watching the wizard practice finger lightning. Up in the tower sat two birds, perched at a little distance from each other on a great bough. Jason was trying not to laugh, and an owl who had been out hunting was sitting hunched up with closed eyes, with no attention to what was going below. Somewhere, a slate crashed to the ground. The cattle shook slightly, and the little ghost began to glide towards the wizard. Jason peered down from the tower. The owl opened her eyes and slit. The shadowy outline of the ghost reached the wizard. Zeb shivered and pulled his cloak around the shoulders. Then the little ghost saw the beetle nesting in the bitter tip of a wizard that, waving his feelers, slightly sought the largest, blackest, most terrifying beetle the ghost had ever seen. She screamed, and screamed, a scream which tore across the sky and froze the water in streams of miles around. The wizard fell backwards, rigid with terror. Jason watched on his perch on the bell. He saw the ghost grow in thick and white. Then he saw the huge beetle open his wings and fly over the battlements. The scream came again and again. The crow and owl toppled off the perches, and the great bell swung for the first time in 100 years. The rusty clapper clanked, the bell rang holily. Jason and the owl began to plummet the ground. The ghost screamed again and again. The toads in the basement tried to hide under each other. The spider lay on a back in the pool of moonlight on the ballroom floor.